For 6,000 years, one shiny yellow metal has had this incredible hold on us. It's built empires, it's torn them down, and it's powered the entire global economy. But its real power? It's not physical, it's psychological. Today, we're going to dive into the amazing story of gold and why this ancient obsession is making a huge comeback. Okay, let's get into it.
All right, first up, a fact that might kind of blow your mind. If you took every single ounce of gold ever mined in all of human history and you melted it into one solid cube, this is what you'd get. That's it. I mean, it's a big block of metal for sure, but you'd think it would be way bigger, right? This rarity, well, that's the first clue to its power.
So, what are we even doing with all this stuff? Well, about 45% of it is worn as jewelry. A tiny slice, around 10%, actually gets used in industry for things like your phone's electronics or even fillings for your teeth. But here's the crazy part. That massive 40% chunk, most of the world's gold isn't used for anything at all. It just sits in giant vaults, basically collecting dust. Why? Well, to figure that out, we have to go way back, to the beginning.
Let's start with a really wild idea. Gold is not from Earth. Seriously, to understand its power over us, we have to look up at the stars.
That's right. The gold in your wedding ring or sitting in a vault under New York City was literally cooked up in the heart of an exploding star. Then it flew across the universe for billions of years before crashing into our planet on asteroids. So, when early humans first stumbled upon it, they were literally picking up pieces of stardust.
And this stardust, it was like nothing else they'd ever seen. It was super heavy, but you could shape it with your hands. It never rusted, it never tarnished. It was basically eternal, incorruptible. But the real showstopper? The color. Gold's atomic structure is unique. It actually absorbs blue light and reflects that brilliant yellow, giving it a glow that ancient people immediately connected to the most powerful force in their lives, the sun.
So, because of these divine sun-like qualities, for most of its history, gold had zero economic value. It wasn't for buying a loaf of bread. The Incas thought it was the sweat of the sun, and they coated their temples in it. Egyptian pharaohs wanted to be buried in it to guarantee they'd live forever. See, it wasn't a currency, it was a hotline to the gods.
And this is where the story gets really interesting. Humanity makes its first giant psychological leap, transforming this sacred symbol into one of the most powerful tools ever invented: money.
Before money, we had to barter, and it was a mess. Just imagine trying to buy some bread with a cow. How do you get change for that? Plus, your cow could get sick and die, and you can't exactly stuff it in your wallet. People needed something better. They needed something that would last, was easy to carry, and easy to divide. And that shiny, eternal stardust, it was pretty much perfect for the job.
And this is the absolute key to the whole thing. Gold has almost no practical use. You can't eat it. You can't build a house with it. Its value is just a story we all agree to believe in. As long as you believe you can trade this little piece of metal for a cow, and the guy with the cow believes it too, then it works. Money isn't a thing, it's a shared idea.
But this shared belief, well, it had a very dark side. When the Spanish conquistadors showed up in the Americas, they found the Aztecs using gold everywhere, for decoration. The Aztecs saw a beautiful, sacred metal. The Spanish saw cold, hard cash. This clash of beliefs led to absolute devastation, driven by what one of them called a malady that only gold could cure. The story had become a dangerous obsession.
So for centuries, physical gold and silver were king. But as trade and empires got bigger, lugging around all that heavy metal became a real problem. This set the stage for the second great psychological leap, learning to trust paper.
I mean, put yourself in the shoes of a merchant back then. You just sold a whole ship's worth of spices. Are you really gonna haul a wagon full of gold bars back home and just hope you don't get robbed? It's heavy, it's risky, it's just a huge pain. There had to be a better way.
And the solution was actually pretty simple, but it was revolutionary. You'd take your physical gold to a bank you trusted, lock it in their vault, and in return, you'd get a piece of paper, a banknote, that was basically your claim check for that gold. Now, instead of trading heavy coins, you could trade these light, convenient little pieces of paper. The belief shifted from the gold itself to the promise from the bank that the gold was safe in the vault.
Okay, so we've gone from trusting a shiny alien metal to trusting a piece of paper backed by that metal. Now we're about to take the final and most abstract leap of faith of them all, trusting a piece of paper backed by, well, nothing but a promise.
The 20th century just completely rewrote the rules. First, the Federal Reserve was created to put one institution in charge.
Then, after World War II, the US dollar, backed by a mountain of gold, became the world's currency. But the US started printing way more dollars than it had gold to back them up. So in 1971, President Nixon officially closed the gold window, basically snipping the final thread connecting our money to that physical, shiny metal.
And this gets us to the system we all live in today, fiat currency. Fiat is just Latin for let it be done. So the dollars in your wallet aren't claim checks for gold anymore. They're valuable simply because the government says let them be valuable, and we all believe it. Our belief shifted one last time, from a bank's promise of gold to a government's promise of stability.
Okay, so if gold is just a relic, right? An ancient story we've all moved past, then why is it suddenly all over the news? Why are people, and even governments, suddenly rushing back to it?
Well, just look at what's been happening. In the last few years, central banks, especially in places like China and Russia, have been buying gold at a record-breaking pace. Investors are piling in, you see ads for gold everywhere. That old belief is clearly waking up.
The reasons are all tied back to that final leap of faith we all took. When you see prices going up with inflation, it feels like the government's promise is getting weaker. During times of economic turmoil or political chaos, that faith gets shaken. And some countries are just tired of having to rely on the US dollar. In a world that feels uncertain, people start to question the story of fiat money, and they find themselves looking back to that 6,000-year-old story of a timeless, incorruptible metal.
Now, what's really fascinating is that this hunt for an alternative has created a totally new chapter, one that exists only in the digital world. There's a reason people call Bitcoin digital gold. Just like gold, there's a limited supply of it, and it exists completely outside the control of any government or bank. The belief is just different. Instead of trusting a physical thing you can hold, it asks you to trust in the math and the integrity of a decentralized computer code. It's an incredible parallel, and it's asking us to make another huge psychological leap. A new kind of belief for a totally new era.
Ultimately, the entire history of money, from a cow to a piece of stardust to a line of code, is really just a history of human belief. It forces us to ask ourselves a really fundamental question. When the systems we count on start to feel a little shaky, what story do we choose to believe in? The ancient promise of gold? The modern promise of a government? Or a new promise on a digital frontier? It's a question whose answer is going to define our future.